Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast. And we have our first of our GAC previews with our special guest, Coach Nick Beckmann from Howell Central. Coach, how you doing?
First one, all right.
Yeah, you are. You're leading it right
on.
Like that, right? Get in early.
Yeah. We'll try to set the tone.
Exactly. As always, YBMcast powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. You go there, you get your team registered, you set up for events, great events coming from Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, and Missouri. We got our winter workout tour. We're going to show you some stuff going on up in Kansas City and Tennessee, and we'll be down at Lake of the Ozarks at Ballparks National. Going to have some fun there. I'm looking forward to that.
Facility.
I haven't been down there yet.
Yeah, my son played there over the summer, this past summer. Loved it.
He plays with Lautzenheiser, right?
Yeah,
and Rogers.
Yeah.
I saw him. I was like, and because, of course, know Coach Lautzey pretty well.
Yeah.
My son played over there with those guys, and you guys got a nice solid team there. Those kids
No, they have fun
fun
together. They're a good group. A couple of them. Like, we're in the Zumwalt East District, so Lautzey's always on me about where Riker's going to go. So right now he's a Central kid, but he told me the other day, he said, Dad, I might want to go to Zumwalt East.
Play with his buddies,
His buddies, so we'll see wherever he wants to go. I'm cool with it.
That's cool. They do a good job. I love watching that, and they're having a good time, and all those kids play hard.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. So, game7baseball.com, get your team registered. We're going to start here. Howell Central last year, I thought you guys came out of the gate gangbusters. You even had an 8-game win streak in there, won 9 out of 10 games. Looked like you were in pretty good shape.
Yeah. And then the end of the season came.
That happens. What do you... Talk to us a little bit about that.
I point back to a conference game against Timberland at our place. We were up in the top of the 7th, a runner on second, and their sophomore was up. Can't think of his name right now.
Kid plays center.
He's a catcher. Ramos.
Carson Ramos.
He went, and we were talking about in the dugout, and
hit the bomb.
The whole thing was pitch around him, but don't give him anything to hit. And I told him, I said, if he goes 2-0, we're just intentionally walking him. And the 1-0 fastball, he put Oppo Taco on us. And walked. He didn't walk us off, but they beat us. And then the next day, we were up 3, and first out. And then a bad hop, and the ball lost in the sun, and they walked us off. And it kind of spiraled a little bit, and we lost a lot of close ones. But I chalk it up to bad coaching on that first one, and I took the blame, and then it kind of spiraled out. And we lost our last 7, I think.
We were there for that one. We that was actually our GAC game of the week. And
Glad
I know it's not for you guys, but
entertainment value was at a premium.
Yeah, because Carson, he did.
I mean, that was a bomb.
He put a good
100%
swing on it.
He did, yeah.
And that's tough, but and that's the thing. I mean, that was it for our perspective. It was just a great game. Period. Yeah. It's tough when you have the losses, and that was the thing. You guys lost 10 games by 2 or less, 1 or 2 runs.
What's that? When you win those, the players win those games, and the coaches lose those games. So, a solid job by myself on that one. I'll take it.
I love that. I love that. I love the accountability. If you take accountability, you can request accountability, can't you?
Yeah. And I mean, any coach that says, we win all these games, man, the players win them. They're out there competing, and you just try to put the right lineup out there and make some decisions that won't hurt them. So, yeah.
Tough thing is, from that last year squad, you had a lot of talent on that team, and you lost, your number 1 and 2 in Harrison Rubel, Aiden Hernandez from behind the plate, who was really good, Wyatt Miller at third, Quentin Klusner. These guys offensively did a lot of good things for you. 12 seniors gone. It's a rebuild year.
100%.
For lack of a better way to put it.
I mean,
right?
you lose talent. We lost a lot of high character guys. Who had bought into our mentality, who had bought into the program. who held each other accountable. And so that's going to be tough to replace. We're really a blank slate. We have a couple returning guys who are tasked with kind of carrying on what those seniors that left brought. But we lost a lot. We lost a lot on the mound. We lost a lot up the middle. And so it's going to be tough to repeat. But it's also kind of a breath of fresh air where you get to start over and you get to mold some kids. And when you have veterans who have been there 3 years, like, Lane and Hendo and Ortnow, they were there for 3 years. So all 3 of my years, they were there. And it's kind of like by the end, they knew what was expected. And they kind of, took the leadership role. And now it's back to building those guys and building that motto and that mentality and the high character things that we stress. And it's a lot of hard work, and there's some frustrating points that, you have those fights, not, disagreements of, hey, this is where our program stands and this is what we're all about, and we need you on board. And a lot of talks and conversations happen, but the end result is kind of why people are where you should get into coaching. And you see how these kids, they go from a sophomore to a senior, and then, Thanksgiving break and Christmas break, all these kids come back from college and say hi, and you realize, like, that's what it's all about.
I love that. That's cool. You do. You have a couple of kids that were there. Ethan Callison, Lucas Pearson. Pearson is committed to Rockhurst. Mm-hmm. They both had solid offensive seasons. You're going to have to lean on them quite a bit. Who are guys that we don't know of that might be those people stepping into those roles?
Well, Lucas was a bright spot. He came to us in the middle of the spring as a transfer, and his story's so great. He's overcome a lot of hardships. He's a great kid, real kind of quiet, and he carries himself in a confident manner. But you love to see a kid like him have success, and we're fortunate enough that, like, he's part of our program. His little brother is a freshman now, and so he quickly bought into it, and he's kind of tasked with being a leader and not being at the school long. It's tough, but he's really kind of cemented himself at the school as kind of a leader. Callie he's a junior that he went through some growth his sophomore year. As we put him in center, and we went in knowing he's going to have some growing pains. Extremely fast kid.
And it's 6'8".
Yeah, but there's a difference between being fast and being baseball fast. And at the beginning, he was just fast, and he learned how to run bases. He's learned how to pick up reads, and I think him and Ortnow were like back and forth for stolen bases, and he's probably going to pass Nick this year. When stolen bases both season and career. Wow. Nick broke the single season record last year, and Callie was right behind him. And it was a competition, and Nick is one of the most competitive people. And he knew a sophomore, so he was getting on. And they both had green lights, and any chance he had, he was running. But Callie had that district game showed that he can handle it. Yardberry was chucking it, and Callie went off the wall against him twice. He was the only guy that really sniffed him. So Callie's showing that not only can he compete at a level where you might not face the top arms all the time, but when you face those top arms, that's when you show that you can play at that next level, and he showed that in that district game. So we expect him to jump up the middle. Tucker Thompson, he was sharing time with Cheatham, and he kind of surpassed. In certain roles, depending on who we were facing, where we were at. So Tucker will kind of slide into short. And then after that, man, it is a straight. And we've had some team meetings, and I flat told everybody, I said, everything's a competition right now. Wow. You're competing. And that's a good part of having that. Last year we went in and everyone was
getting a chill bump. Yeah. I'm ready to go.
Well, hopefully everybody is, but I mean, and that's what, if you have a competition and you're going to bring out the best, and one of the guys that I train with, he talks about being a little bit better every day. And we've kind of presented that to our boys of just a small % better. If you do that, that competition comes, and competition's a healthy thing.
Sure.
And so, we have some competition. Gabe Duncan's coming in as a catcher who we had our team meetings last year, and I sat him down with Hendo, and I said, whatever Hendo does, you do. I carry yourself like him. And he bought into that. And so you see Hendo running with his gear on, here's Gabe following him. And so he learned how to present himself as a catcher. And so I'm excited to see how he's developed and whether or not he can carry that as an everyday role. And so when he got his chances in there, he showed a ton of improvement. He was probably our most improved player over the course of a season. Wow. Because he just worked at it. And that's all you can ask for with these kids is, just get a little bit better every day and see how far you can go.
So let's go back now to pitching. Ben Henthorn. I saw you had, some guys. Tayden Harlow got got a few innings. They got 10 innings. Had a 1.97 ERA. That's a small sample size, but still, you got to like a 1.97 even in 10 innings, right?
Tayden actually just this past week decided he's going to play at Westminster. So he's going to go and play at the college level, which is awesome. I'm really excited for him. He's put in a lot of work. And so we put him in the Saturday games in relief to get his feet wet. Playing varsity baseball for some kids it's a jump. Yes, and so some of these guys are going to be asked to kind of fill a need. And again, that competition. Henthorn's probably the leader in that role, but as a sophomore, he was our Saturday starter. Mm-hmm. Came back as a junior. We said, hey, we're gonna bring you in relief in conference games and then throw you a little bit in the Saturday game. And it was my mistake. I should have just left him in the Saturday role and found other relievers because I think he kind of got tired out a little bit. Yeah. So this year he's going to come in and when he's on, he'll throw 3 pitches for strikes and keep you off balance. He's not going to blow you away, but he's the guy that we call it a comfortable 0 for 4. You go 0 for 4 and you come back and you're like, what was that arm like? And you're like, oh. And it's like, well, why'd you go 0 for 4? And so he misses barrels, and if you play good defense behind him, he's going to be on, and it's a quick outing too. And so I'm hoping that he comes back and finds his 2021 form and leads us in the conference role.
Very good. Behind that, you've got we were talking before we started the show. You've got a freshman class, that's coming in, sophomores. Are there going to be and that freshman class we talked about is good. Mm-hmm. And is there going to be some opportunities maybe for these sophomores and freshmen? You said it's open competition. It's just curious, and don't hold them that, but you never know.
No, I just find it. Freshmen come in from 14U ball, and where they're playing. Some of the kids are AAA major kids, highly competitive baseball, and they walk in, and I think sometimes there's this belief that I'm just going to step in and be a varsity player, and that jump is extremely difficult. And so that class is deep. It's the deepest class that we've had since this is my 4th year. And there's some highly competitive players. They're going to get a chance to compete at the JV level, and then it's open. And I told the kids, I don't care if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. If you're the best at that position, you're going to be playing at the varsity level. How good a kid is at 14 and 15 is not indicative of how good they're going to be when they're playing 18-year-old. In a lot of these, I agree. There's some men out there. And so they're going to get a chance to compete. We have some sophomores that played JV and are going to compete for varsity level positions. Cooper DeManuel, Drew Weiss, Austin Stevens. These are, the guys who are going to go out there and they're looking to take a spot. And they know there's open spots. And so when you have that competition and you have guys pushing, there's going to, I mean, it's healthy. So we have some guys there. We have some guys on the mound. And so I'm just excited about getting them in there and seeing, when you put a little pressure on them, everybody's good in their bullpen outings and with their pitching coaches and on the video. No one ever posts the video of the outtakes, right? It's only the few pitches where they looked really, really good. So, when you start putting a batter in there and things like that, the pressure becomes a little bit more. So there's some talent there. Can it translate to the speed of the game at the varsity level when you're playing against, guys who are older? That's we're going to see.
To be seen.
Yeah, we're going to see how that happens.
I like Demaniel's swing. That kid can.
Well, he's making. I talked to his hitting coach. He's making some adjustments. Him and Drew are hitting with the same guys over at the hitting lab, and they're doing some good stuff. So we'll see. Again, in the confined area, it's
one thing.
You put some
Right.
pressure on you. Can they make the mental adjustments that the varsity player needs? Can they make the from pitch to pitch? All that is going to be exciting to see, and so I'm looking forward to working with those guys. Those are that's that sophomore group, that
Sure.
as they grow, you build those relationships with, and so I'm excited about it.
Absolutely. And, I love what you brought, because we talk about this a lot. Mulder brings it up on the show. It's the difference between boys high school baseball and men's college baseball. And, but then, and you're dealing with just in the GAC Central or Central. South.
Yeah. Hey,
Well, the
Central's
Central
good
too, man.
Yeah, all over.
You've got, if you go play Liberty or Holt, you're going to Zumwalt South. You're going to see a Hankey or Cox. You're going to see a Hosack. I don't know if Edgar's there still. You're going to see Schnurbush. And I'm probably missing one.
Well, Liberty beat us last year late in the year, and they were good. I mean, anywhere across the board. Cox at Zumwalt South, we split with them, and Saturday doubleheader is way different than playing conference games. But no matter who you play in the GAC, you're gonna get competitive baseball. The talent's so deep. GAC South, listen, we know where we're walking in, and we know that people are going to be at the bottom. But as a person, I thrive on just being competitive. So, hey, in my fantasy football league, I'm out of the playoffs, but I'm still trying to play spoiler. So, and that's just my mentality, right? And so, if I can ruin somebody else's season, and I'm not we're going to go out there, we're going to compete, and I don't care who, what the name is. This is what high school sports is about.
Yes.
We don't get to handpick our players. A lot of schools don't.
Right.
And so whatever we're doing, we're going to build the best team we can and build the best experience for our players. And that experience includes off the field stuff, on the field stuff, and that competition. I mean, I don't care who we're playing. We're gonna give you our best.
There you go. I think, I love to hear stuff like that, because that's what I think makes the GAC so fun to watch. I look at this and I know there's stuff. I love the western part of the state is really good, but I mean, you sit here in the GAC and there isn't better baseball being played, I think, in the state.
And then you combine, in the western side of the state, they have Rockhurst as their only private, right? And we have the MCC, which is really good baseball. And then you got the GAC, and you got some of the Suburbans. I mean, there's a talent level that is, it's different. If you combine it all and then compare it to the west side, but the west side has a lot less to deal with. But look at the GAC South. It's being represented in the Final Four every year. And every year it's 2 years ago it was either us or Howell going. Last year it's okay. And so Zumwalt West beats Howell 4 times last year, and then in the districts, Howell gets them. And that's how it goes. It's who's ever going to be better on that day. And so we're gonna try to sniff a little bit around. And last year I talked to Justin Rogers over the weekend. And we're just talking about this year, and I said we're going to try to replicate what you guys did, because everybody last year was like, Troy's not, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And they walk out and they beat some teams, and they show that, hey, we're going to hear. So it's not always how many ranked players do you have, how many guys do you have committed. A lot of that comes into on game day. Are you throwing strikes? Are you making plays?
Right.
And then see what happens. So we're going to try to do that. We're going to focus a lot on the defensive side and the little things, and see if we can compete with some of those guys that have significantly more talent.
I think it's, we talk a lot about this, and I want to get your take on this, because I think it's an interesting point. You said it doesn't matter where you're ranked, and I agree. But I do believe, though, that the GAC in this area is benefited from a lot of the club baseball and the development process that's there, right? And I'm not talking about ranking people. I'm just talking about these kids are going through that. But then there's the difference, because between summer baseball to high school, how then do you, what's that translation from those kids coming in from summer ball to what you're trying to produce there in high school?
So I tell people flat out, I've been involved in summer ball for a long time. I'm right now, I coach with GBA. I'm an instructor with GBA, and I train a lot of France South kids. And I mean, they're great kids.
Yeah.
They are hard workers. I love being around them. A lot of them work with me in my infield academy, and so when we play against each other, there is a competitive, but there's a love there, and so. You won't hear me, like, there's a lot of high school coaches who bash club, and then the club coaches bash high. I always talk it like this. When you play in your high school team, you're playing for your community, you're playing for your school, your friends are there. When a club is very much more individual based. And
Agreed.
sometimes people take the club mentality to the high school where it's still individual based, and there's no room there for that, because the season, I mean, it flies, and when you start talking about playing in districts and you start playing conference and things like that, it has to be a team focused thing. And so I talk about the club side of, hey, develop at your club, because they have resources that we don't have. I mean, during the winter, you can come hit in our wrestling room in the cage on Sundays, maybe. But other than that, it's for wrestling. We don't have a cage. And so I say get on a good club team where they focus on development first, and then use that to better yourself. And I try to put people like in the best spot for them personally, where they're going to play and they're going to get innings, they're going to develop. And then the winter side, the number one thing for me is, are you training to get bigger, faster, stronger? Like, what's the weight? A lot of kids are like, well, I'm hitting with so-and-so. Well, okay, you can hit all you want, and that's great. But if you weigh $150, chances are, you know what I'm saying? Like, chances are you can barrel it up, and it's going to go maybe 150, 200 feet. So what type of strength program does your program offer? And so all these things matter. I'm very open. One of my former players is Brett Graves, and I talk with Brett over P3, but a lot of my guys go to ACE with Adam. So I talk to Adam.
Can't go wrong with either one of those guys.
That's what I'm saying. Like, get in where you are comfortable and where you are developing, and you're not going to have an argument from me. I'm not going to tell you where to go, because I want what's the best fit for you personally. And so when we do this, if everybody's on the same page, I mean, Brett just had a coaches summit for high school coaches on Saturday to kind of walk them through what we do, or what we do as high school coaches and what they do as trainers and instructors, and how we can work together. And it's frustrating for me, and obviously I'm pretty passionate about this, is the disconnect sometimes between high school coaches and club coaches. And being in both worlds, there shouldn't be that disconnect. They should be working together in the best interests of their athletes. And so if they can get on the same page with all that, you see the athlete flourish.
I love that. And there you go. Enough said. The GAC this year, I think, as I said, I think is going to be tough. One last thing here.
Yeah, I heard one of Greer, who trains, he's a GBA guy. He goes, "Hey, Coach, see where they picked you?" So They appreciate.
He threw me right under the bus, didn't he?
No, I got a receipt on Greer coming. So
I met him for the first time.
awesome kid.
I really
Awesome.
and I hadn't heard about him, and we were at the Prime Sports Midwest bad demo.
Yeah.
And Rick says, "Hey, there's a young man from GBA. He's going to swing the Louisville Sluggers. Whatnot. His name's Jake Greer." I said, "Sure." We did some video with him.
Loud noises coming out of that cage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, big, strong kid, works hard. He's always up at the, great. And Reed's awesome. Reeder's awesome over at Liberty.
I like Mark. Yeah.
Oh, dude, awesome guy.
I do.
And does a really good job over there. And so
And he's just kind of getting his feet
yeah,
wet.
he was at Parkway North for a while,
Right.
but in talking to him, you can just tell when you talk to people whether they know what it is or they're just giving you a couple baseball lingo terms and
Right.
trying to act their way through it. But he knows what he's doing. He's got some talent coming through. And yeah, Jake he works hard. He really does.
That's what I mean. I think it's there's so many good teams out here, but I want to finish this. We talked about your freshman class coming in. You got some sophomores. How much do you put on your freshman JV coaches to understand the program? What the development process? Where do you want them to be? Where to bring these kids? How does that work for you?
So we strive like the same program motto throughout. Our freshman coach is now Josh Stahl, who I played with in high school. He's an alumni. Works in the business world, just loves baseball. He played college ball. And our sons play together, and so we had some openings. Coach Bunton is like a full-time coach for football now, like he's offensive, so he had to step back. He got two young kids. Ron Miller took over for the JV program, and we've already talked about being on the same page with everything. They are already using. Heck, I watched Coach Stahl coach his kids teams, and he's yelling out, "Hey, do your job, and I'm like, that's our motto right there. And so stuff like that is important because I want that seamless transition when they go from freshman to JV and from JV to varsity. If you have a freshman class and they are playing like C baseball, freshman baseball, and they work their way up and become a contributor to the varsity program, that says a lot about your younger coaches and the development process that you have. Because you can have all your studs that they come in, they play JV, they play varsity right away. They're not going to win you a state championship. They're not going to win you a conference title. You need 9 guys, 10 guys on the field at all times. And if you can get those role players to continue to develop and contribute, you're gonna win some games.
Absolutely. I think, and it's interesting you say, kids that I'd take a bunch of Division II players, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I tell my kids all the time, you play college baseball, you've achieved. If you finish, I'm big on talk to me when you're done with your eligibility at college. You don't always just celebrate the commitment, because that's just the start of the journey. We have too many guys that are committing, and then after the first fall season, they're done because they don't realize how tough it is. And that's across the board. Everybody loves to send out I'm blessed and humbled to accept this offer and stuff like this. When you finish 4 years of baseball, or 5 or 6, depending on how many red shirts and medical red shirts, red shirt, COVID year. I had a couple of players come back and they're like, the guy in my spot is 24 years old. And they're 8. So you're playing against the men. So if you can compete at that level and then come back and talk about your experience, you've had a pretty good career. I don't care if it's D1, D2, NAIA, it doesn't matter. You play college baseball for 4 years or 5 years, you've achieved something.
There you go. I love it. And that's the same, and that's what I love. Freshmen, don't be offended if you don't make a varsity team because it's just the way it is, man.
Especially at big schools.
Yeah. Yes. It's there's a lot of good baseball players on these squads already that have been there, that understand the program, and a coach values experience.
Yeah, I always say, can I trust you?
Ah.
Can I trust you on the field? And that deals with off the field stuff. If I can't trust you off the field, how am I going to trust you on the field? But at the freshman level, like that's speed, the speed of the game. I tell kids all the time, the biggest difference between, 15U, 16U, 17U, or freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, the base is everything's the same. Feels the same. It's the speed of play. Everybody throws faster. They hit the ball harder. They run faster. You have to be able to make those decisions quicker. And that's a big jump for people. That's a separator.
Folks, Coach Nick Beckmann, Francis Howell Central. Coach, always a pleasure, man.
Yeah,
Enjoyed that conversation. Absolutely. We got to get you. I know we've talked about it. I know you're busy and stuff, but I'd love to get on and talk a little bit more about the club side. I know you work with a lot of these kids. Because those are, maybe we can do that after the first of the year.
For sure.
Absolutely. We need to do that. Because I love that part of it. And I love the conversation, just to throw it in there. I love that conversation of that translation from, 14U into high school. It's tougher than people think it is.
Well, yeah, and especially like some of these kids are swinging drop fives. I did that freshman tournament, or that freshman G.A.C. camp, where they're playing a lot, and you see that. I mean, there's some, all of a sudden the ball is out the bat, and you're like, wait a minute, that swing didn't look like that ball should try. And you see it's a drop five, and it's like, that's a separator. A lot of these kids are swinging drop fives where it's like a trampoline bat. So I'm a big proponent, and I tell my kids at my high school camps when they come through, hey, if you're big, strong, swing a drop three and get used to it.
And I love the way you said that, because we have this conversation a lot. And my buddy Mitch over there, the guy dropped it. Well, if a kid is $120,
that's a different story.
I think that's fair. I agree with you. If you're big and strong enough, wreck it.
Oh, 100%. So, I mean, when you talk about the growth between 14 and 15, like you have some kids coming in and the facial hair starting to show up.
Sure.
And, they're feeling big and strong as a 14 or 15U, and then you have that little kid that hasn't hit puberty yet, who's just grinding. But I'm going to tell you something. That kid has that work mentality that when he does grow and fill out, and he's still working like that, they pass him up. And so don't
sleep on them.
Don't sleep on the 14U kids. Like, actions mean everything. So I watch when I'm watching kids for development purposes, I'm watching actions, and so. I talked to a kid in GBA, Michael Wolf, who's a freshman, good player, good player. And I talked to him flat out, and I said, right now you're on top. And I said, but there's kids around that you don't even know that are just working. They're eyeing you because you're the measuring stick, and they're going to try to pass you up. So if you are continuing to work, you're going to continue to get better. But if you kind of rest on the fact that you're bigger, stronger than people, they're going to pass you up, and all of a sudden you're going to look around and go, what happened? Well, those kids grew, they continued to work, and you sat back. And don't get me wrong, Michael does not sit back. He works hard. Right. He works really hard. And so it's like that mentality. I love that grind, that little kid that grinds, and all of a sudden you come back after one summer, he's like 4 inches taller. And okay, here we go. And Nick Ortnow was one of those. As a sophomore, little guy, and he grew really fast, and he kind of struggled a little bit because, a little lanky and gangly. And by senior year, he filled out, and he was good. Yeah,
there it is. I got the chance to meet Michael when we did our home run derby. He participated in.
Yeah, Coop did too, didn't he?
Yeah, a couple years. Yeah, the year before, I think he was. Yeah, so we've had some really good players in that for. St. Louis Youth Sports Outreach.
Yeah. No, I remember Cooper doing that.
Yeah, it's been fun. We've got, because Michael, we pulled a lot of kids just from Game 7 tournaments. We invited them, if you wanted to, and I'll tell you what, boy, I've seen some really good swings. But you know who won it? Ella Smith won the home run derby. She is a freshman, started as a freshman at Liberty High School at shortstop. This girl can swing the bat.
Really?
Oh, my goodness.
We have a couple of them at Central. A couple softball players that can swing it, and it's like, you play baseball? So.
Absolutely, man. If you can put it out, I'm hip. Let's do it. Thanks again, Nick. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, for sure.
Good luck to you this year.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the ball field.
Yeah, for sure.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. If you enjoy what we're doing, please take a moment. If you haven't done it yet, hit the subscribe button. Next to it is that dinger, because that's what we do around here. We hit dingers. That gets you all your notifications for upcoming episodes such as the GAC previews, player spotlights, and our YBMcast baseball talk. We appreciate you supporting us. Remember, we got some merchandise. If you want to support us that way, we appreciate it. Everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. Hitters, got some advice?
Find a barrel.
Find a barrel. That's good advice. We'll see y'all next time.